Okay, do you know that feeling that you get whenever you click the shutter and it just feels like everything has aligned? It's absolute perfection and you are lit up from the inside out. It feels like your birthday morning and mama has one present ready for you. That's the feeling that I get every time I know that I've nailed an epic photograph. It's also the feeling that I got whenever I took this photograph that we're gonna edit together here inside of Adobe Lightroom Classic. Now, the fact that I get to say that or make fun videos and hang out here with you at all is surreal. Because back in 2009, I was a single mama, broken in college, 19 years old, and I just had a dream of building a thriving business. And so the fact that I have far surpassed that dream and in fact have created proven and tested strategies that have allowed hundreds of other photographers to also be successful. I mean, that's like just a pinch me kind of thing, like, gosh, life is so good. And that's why I make videos like this for you. So be sure to like and subscribe. And if you are serious about building a thriving photography business of your own, be sure to click the link in the description because I have a free training that shows you the roadmap ahead so that you can do so yourself. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into Adobe Lightroom Classic. And here it is. Oh, I just love this moment. Her connection with the camera, her look, the coloring, the light, it just was magical. It was everything. And it was a moment that really came through to me that I didn't see when I went there. And I think that's the magic, is scouting in advance really helps you to be the artist that you really want to be, because it's like studying for the test. And I was there ready to take the test, because what is so exciting to me is the fact that there's so much texture happening in this image, from the lace to her beautiful hair, the stone in the background. It just is so dynamic with the connection that she has with the camera. It's just a powerful image. So it is probably one of my favorite ones from the shoot. And I think that's what makes it so beautiful, is the use of light, having her backlit with that beautiful stone wall that we were able to use that breaks up the light and really creates this even softer look. The sand is in front of her, which is bouncing back light to her. It is just magical. Now, this is the raw, unedited images. And without further ado, we can go ahead and dive in and begin our editing journey. Now, I am going to use I can also show you, because I know if you're like me, you want to see what's the before and after, Marissa. So here you have it. But we're going to come up with a little bit of a different version today. I like to edit different ways for different flavors, and today I'm in a different mood. So we're going to go for that. But I can do this now today, but as you are in your own editing journey, I encourage you to find a consistency in your images, regardless of dark nighttime photos with no light and beautiful light like this. There needs to be a consistency in the skin tones throughout your gallery in order for you to have a thriving photography business. This is what helps your potential client know that you're the expert, that you're a professional, because they know they can depend on receiving a reliable look, which is what you present in your portfolio. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and select a preset. I am using my own effortless presets, which are available in the link in the description. Today, I think I am leaning more towards our midday perfector. Gosh, that's such a hard one though. For fun, let's go with the organic masterpiece. Oh man, that's hard. Okay, I'm doing it. Let's do the midday perfector. Let's do it. I just love it. It's so dreamy. It's so beautiful. And honestly, the way that it looks now is already so beautiful. Here is the before and the after. Let's see, with and without the preset. So that is just gorgeous already. But I personally am not a big fan of really bright colors in the skin. So I personally will tend to pull out oranges or yellows, any really strong color that is distracting. So I will go ahead and let me see here. I will go ahead and just pull down some of the orange, and I'm just going to bring up some of the luminescence of the orange. And that's really going to be these areas that are in the shadow already. So I really want to balance the skin tone from the softer, lighter tone here with the darker tones, so that there's more of a soft fall off from the highlights on her face to the shadows. Okay. And our beautiful model here, I mean, my goodness, she just had the perfect look for this shoot, and her eyes are don't they just pull you in? Gosh. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the exposure of this image as well. And I'm really looking at, if we look at the highlights right here, where I find in a photograph that it gets too bright, what you want to watch for is when the lighter tones start to lose information. You'll see this a lot with wedding dresses where the back of the wedding dress train is blown out, meaning it just looks white. There's not a lot of detail in that dress. We don't want to do that. We want to show all the beautiful details because we know that our brides have spent a lot of time selecting their dress. And so over here, where this lighter part of her face is, where the light, that change of exposure, I don't want that to be too bright. So as I increase the exposure, I'm really paying attention to that. And right now it's kind of starting to push how much further I want to go. I don't think I want to make it any brighter because this part's going to be a little too bright. It's going to make it look unnatural. Before I make my final decision on exposure, I'm going to start to play with the contrast, but not just like the contrast, like the specific elements of the contrast, the lighter elements and the darker elements. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up these shadows, okay? Which is really her backside where it's closer to the stone. We don't have as much light coming in there, okay? Now that I've done that and I've brightened up that area, I can also pull down the whites. Highlights are already pulled down. So we've already pulled down these lighter tones, trying to preserve it. And so by preserving the highlights and reducing the shadows, we are allowing the image to be pulled even brighter than it could have. Okay, because otherwise you're going to have a really contrasty image and really bright image. And that's not necessarily the goal. Okay. We want it to look natural and true to life. And so you want to do so by keeping all of the colors and the highlights and the shadows really more neutral. You want to round them out. You don't want such harsh contrast in this specific photo. Now, there are some times when you do want harsh contrast, especially if you're shooting with direct sunlight on your subject, then that would be an entirely different conversation. But right here, right now, we want to reduce it. We want it to be dreamy and soft and romantic and true to life, okay? So now that we're here, I am going to come over in the purples. We have a little bit of purple in her face, and I'm just going to pull down the saturation of the purple and the magenta here, okay? Just a little bit, all right? And so now that we have done this, I'm going to see where are we at with the oranges, just see if there's anything over here that I want to play with. And the yellows, I'm feeling pretty good. So now that we're here, I'm going to pull down the warmth, and I'm also going to bump down magenta because I could definitely see that kind of in her forehead and showing up in some of these places. And right here, there is a really strong line where the sky is reflecting and the light is changing on her face. So you can see that shadow where right here, it's really warm. You can see this kind of orange warm tone. And where the light changes, there's this differentiation right here. You can see this is kind of a pink, magenta, blue, cool tone that's on her skin here in comparison to this warm area. And so what I want to do is I want to minimize the difference between the warmth and the cooler side, okay? Now, this is not something, if this was a wedding gallery for a client, I would not do this to every single photo. But if I put this in my portfolio, I will go out of my way to make sure that it is what I want it to be, okay? And I'm going to do that by using my brush tool, okay? And I'm just going to brush over these areas. Same thing over here, this area right here where her nose is. And right here, I'm not going to do so right here because this is a darker shadow where her eye is. So I'm not going to mess with that too much, but I am going to pull down the exposure and bring up the warmth. And so what's that? That's going to just reduce the amount of separation between the shadow and the highlight. Okay. We want to reduce that. Now, if you can see, there's still this like red kind of light showing up here. And I'm just going to go ahead, and it's also showing up right here. It's just like really heavy on the magenta. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull out magenta. And I'm also going to, well, I lie. I was thinking about pulling out warmth, but I'm not. Okay. So now that I'm here, I'm just going to back away, and this is looking pretty good. Okay. Now I do still see right here, you can see it's kind of cooler in tone. So I am going to get one more brush here, and I'm just going to really quick, just put it right over this whole area, and I'm going to warm it up. All right. And there we go. That is starting to look a lot better. All right. I can also do it over here, this kind of bluer area in her hair where it's blue. All right. Now, if we back out, we can see that that is looking a lot better. Okay. Now, for the most part, I would say this is pretty much done. I am going to pull out a little bit more warmth. I can see that that would be a good thing here. And I'm also noticing, same thing like with her face, her chest, right? So again, I'm just going to pull out that brush, and I'm also going to do it over the dress, kind of like where it's blue, and just right over this area. And I'm going to warm it up. Now, my students know that I sometimes like something like this. You can see, because I edit with my students. And so you can see right here, I've made this really warm. So you would want to be very specific, because if I delete it, you see the arm, the finger there is not as orange. So it is good to zoom in when you are editing, my friend, and to make sure that you are getting exactly what you would like in your selection. All right. But her chest, again, because it is facing the sky, it is pulling more of a cooler tone, which can be distracting. So we're just going to add the warmth back to her chest. And now you can see already that it blends so much better. Looking very, very good. All right. Now, I also want to come in here, and I'm going to use another brush. And right here, it's also very magenta, very cool in tone. So I'm just going to come over this area and bring up the warmth again. And I can also do it here as well, because I can see that there's still these like pink tones. Just going to drop it in a few of those spots. All right. Now, I'm also going to take another brush, and I'm just going to put it over this area for the eye. And I'm going to go ahead and just bring up exposure so that it is minimized. Okay. I'm also going to do it over here. Fantastic. All right. Very good. And so as far as the editing is going, I would say we're pretty much there. Like, I don't think that there is really anything else that I would really do to this photo in terms of the editing. And you could definitely end it a little darker. You could end it a little brighter, depending on your preference. What I think is most important is that it is true to life. Like, I could just reach into that photo and be in that moment. Now, for me, if I'm going to use this for my portfolio, I will go out of my way to edit out any imperfection that is there. And especially something like this. This is an wedding editorial, and it's really focused on fashion. So in this scenario, I definitely am going to go out of my way and perfect that, which I have the power to do so. So just kind of going over these, any little blemish, although our model, of course, is perfect. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. And so I'm using the heal tool. Shortcut for the heal tool is Q. All right. And we're almost there. Now I am actually going to kind of come over here, over this area with her eye, and I'm going to just remove it. Just minimize it. Okay. Now that is a very, very minimal thing that really can just help make every woman feel better about herself. Okay. Let me just tell you. It is a true thing. Us women, we don't want to have those lines there. If you're a woman, say amen with me, okay? Because I know some of you out there would agree. All right, we got a little something there. We're just going to take that out. Perfect. Okay. And so now I love her freckles, so I'm going to leave those there. I'm not going to worry about every single little mark, just the main little spots that I know might make her feel more confident if it was, removed. Now, last but not least, I do still see quite a bit of magenta showing up here. And so I'm just going to pull out that magenta. I'm going to bring up the warmth, just really wanting to help this area blend a little better. Now, before I can make my final decision, I need to back up, kind of take a look. Definitely is a little too warm in that area. So I'm going to come back to this brush stroke. I'm just going to pull it down just a little bit. There we go. And voila. And so there we have it. Here is our before and our after of our beautiful bride here on Pfeiffer Beach. Man, oh man, wasn't that a good one? Now be sure to like and subscribe so that you're in the know of when our next videos come out, because everything that we're doing here is to see you thrive in your photography business. And if you are serious about really taking that leap to the next level in your photography business, be sure to click the link in the description, because there's a free training that's just for you, and I put my heart and soul into it, and it's exactly what you need to know to really get you started. Now, I'll see you on the next one.